Uh, we are here today with Dr. Karambu Ringera. She's a leader from Kenya, from Africa. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Karambu. And Karambu is a Kenyan leader, a woman who helped many in her community cope with the pandemic that has been present a lot more than the one that we are facing all. That's the AIDS pandemic that has been around for this last couple of decades. Karambu Ringera is a fellow NGL, McCain Institute NGL, but apart from that, she's a Court Social Entrepreneurs Fellow, and she won many awards, Life Achievement Award and Master Scholar Award winner of the University of Denver. And she won the 2012 African Achievers Award in the UK. She runs a children's home in Meru in Kenya, her hometown. And she started her work a long time ago, her humanitarian work a long time ago, while she was studying in the US and even before that. First of all, I want to ask you, how are you? How is the situation in Meru and in Kenya when it comes to the pandemic, and how it affects your work, how it affects the work of the children's home and then other activities you're doing there?
Thank you, Lubo, for having me here. My name is Dr. Karambu Ringera. I come from the central part of Kenya, known as Meru. We are on the eastern slopes of Mount Kenya, the second highest mountain in Africa. It's really impacted our work. I work with International Peace Initiatives. International Peace Initiatives, or IPI, is an organization that works with women, youth, and children, and the community in general, to respond to the impact of HIV and AIDS, poverty, and violence, as these affect the lives of the community. We say at IPI that peace is not merely the absence of war. It is when people have access to resources that enable them to meet their basic needs and live lives of dignity. One of the IPI's programs is Kidoka Amani Children's Home, and it's a home, not an orphanage, it's a home for children who've lost their parents to HIV and AIDS, or have been made vulnerable by the disease, violence, and poverty. And at the home, we have 63 resident children who live outside of the children's home. So you can imagine during these COVID-19 days, being at home with 63 kids who have to be clothed, have to meet their medical needs and things like that. So it's been an interesting journey, but we work with many friends. We have a partner in the US, and together we raise funds to support the children's home. And luckily, I also have friends who've really been supportive. They bring us food. They send us encouraging messages. And together with the network of people that we work with, we've been able to feed the kids for the last 5 months, because schools will be closed throughout the year. They'll be reopened in January 2021 if COVID-19 will have ebbed. It's doing more tests, and so the government just advised if if you don't wear a mask in Kenya today, you'll be arrested. And wash our hands and stay at home as much as you can. So that's what we've been doing. We've been home for the last 6 months. And I have had to look for different things to keep the kids meaningfully engaged, caught up on their studies. For 63 of us to be in one place, one has to think very innovatively. And
I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me?
No, something is with the camera. Okay, now I can see you again. Great.
Okay,
I've seen that. We're not aligned. I think that we have a small, like a stall in the video transmission. Another question I wanted to ask you: what is your biggest challenge on your leadership action plan when it comes to the community support? What you felt as the main challenge when coming back to Kenya and applying all these things you've learned in the US? What is the biggest difference and how you overcome that?
That's a great 16 cohort. And my leadership action plan with people so that they could be engaged. Why I had chosen to do that is I had realized or recognized in Kenya that citizens were not really engaged or engaging in their put our act together. So my leadership action plan was to train citizens to impact policy. And so when I came back after all this, the McCain International Leadership Program is amazing. I totally enjoyed my time. And I was based in the mayor's office in Kansas City, Missouri.
Yes, just like Yaroslav. We spoke with Yaroslav on Saturday. He was at the same place in the Kansas City.
Oh, that's great. It's that I just couldn't implement the action plan beginning from what I had learned. I observing the nature of people's attitudes here, I realized that one of the things that we struggle with is not knowing ourselves. Kenya was a British colony. Our education, our religion, economic institutions, and all these things are so based on someone else's systems. So I feel we don't know who we are. And so I changed my when I created the leadership workshop, I decided to begin with a program that allows people or invites people to explore who they are, what stops them, and once they understand who they are and what stops them, which is institutions, religious, economic, cultural, whatever systems they feel stop them, recognizing that they themselves are one of those systems. We are our worst stoppers when we want to transform spaces. And so once you know who you are, what stops you, then the next thing is, are you willing to create a new story for your life? And then once you create a new story, you have to look for like-minded people to do this dance with. And once you do that, then you figure out what actions are you going to take to change what is not working in this. And then once you do that, then of course you keep reflecting to see what needs to be unlearned, what needs to be relearned, and what growth you want to see. So I created what I call a leadership dialogue cycle, which is a dialogue that one has to have with themselves, and then you have it with your community together to transform things that are not working in the system. And so once then that was done, my phase 2 is going to be incorporating the leadership aspects that I learned from my leadership program in the States with the McCain Institute. So I worked a lot with young people because I tried to bring in people already in leadership positions, and they didn't have time for the 3-day workshop requirement. And so I also realized that young people are the future. Everybody keeps telling young people that you're the next generation of leaders. And I started asking them, when is next going to come? So our leadership program is known as the New Generation Leaders Program. And I actually now call it the Now Generation of Leaders, because we have to begin being leaders now, today. And a leader is not, all of us are leaders. I believe everybody has a gift that they lead in their lives. And because traditionally we have been taught a leader is, I think there are some people who are supposed to be leaders. And in that mindset, we abdicate our responsibility to find the leader in me today and what I can do with that gift that I have. Mm-hmm. So I say that a leader does not work to make people see how great they are. A leader works to support other people to see how great they are. Mm-hmm. It's not about one person who is lording it over others. It is a person who works with people to see the leader in them so that together they can transform what is not working in their community.
Understand completely. That is the environment we lead in. You explained it very well, truly. And I want to ask you now about you yourself. Where do you source all this strength? What are your biggest motivators, and what have been? Are they changing through time, or they have remained the same since your beginnings?
Ask that question again.
So, what is your biggest motivator? What's motivating you to act, to lead? Is it the same one that when you raised the $400 in the US and started and used it to send 7 kids to school? Has this?
So when I went to the US in 2005 to accept the leadership program, I was very frustrated because I saw people struggling for the little money that politicians would give them, and there was no change in my community. So, and I had worked with IPI, with the community for about 10 years, and I was like, where will change come from? In 2007, I ran for political office, the first woman in my constituency since independence in 1963 to run for a political position as a member of parliament. And it was very difficult to run. I was the only woman. There were 16 men running against me, and their campaign was just about making me wrong as a woman, vying for a leadership position. So my question was, how will change take place? Because I understand the role of women in leadership, and it is critical because you cannot exclude half of the population from leadership and expect that you're going to move forward as a nation. So when I went for the program, and so I went through the program, I understood the leadership system in America and the democracy and all that. and all that. And of course, I realized very quickly that I was there to learn and then to come and contextualize to my situation in Kenya. I couldn't cut and paste because of the cultural and other circumstances in my country. So what I learned in studying the American system and then coming back and seeing our system, which was trying to be a democracy like the American democracy then, which in my view they've lost now with this current leadership there, was then to look for what motivates me as a Kenyan citizen to strive for change. And then I realized that most of our leaders don't even know who they are. And for me, it was, if I know who I am, if I know my values and my purpose, and I live that, and everybody figures that out, then we might be able to change the circumstances, the challenges that we face every day. So what motivates me, first of all, is when I knew who I am and I understood I have a purpose in this life, I just didn't want to waste my days, then I chose to live that purpose. And to live one's purpose is to live it in spite of what is happening around you. What I do gives me a lot of joy. For people, when they hear that I am living with 63 kids, they're like, how do you do it? And I'm like, it is not just me. There's the grace of God also. And there's all the people that we are working with and the kids themselves. They've given me an opportunity to serve them and to work with them. So knowing who I am, understanding that I have a purpose and that is what I wanted to accomplish in this life, really gave me a platform to stand. Understanding who I am as whole, pure, complete, and enough. Whole, I have everything that I need in my head, in my brain, in my heart, in my body, in my knowing, as I continue to know that I can be the best that I create the intention and I choose to be. Because it's an intention one has to create every day, and it's a choice that I've made every day. So what motivates me is knowing who I am, knowing my path and purpose, and having faith that I wasn't brought here for nothing. And so I will do something about being here, and it will make a difference in the world. So at IPF, for example, even if all the programs have been closed because of COVID-19, I have the children. And so we are continuing to build ourselves and our nation and our home, even with COVID-19. We didn't go back home and then folded our hands and decided, oh, the world is coming to an end, so we go to sleep. We are doing things that are helping the kids learn, even at this time. We are doing things that enable them to live meaningfully. They are doing activities that are helping them learn about teamwork, working as teams, or working in teams, and learning new skills, working on the land. We're doing a construction thing and enabling them to create their own toys and things like that. If you look at the back, there are some things on that table. Those are things that are handmade that the kids have learned to make. So we are doing something with COVID-19. It is a disaster, but also disasters come so that we can figure them out. And so what motivates me is knowing who I am, my faith, and recognizing that I don't work alone. I don't work alone. I work with a lot of people who support orphans, think they're doing the kids a favor. But here we say that the kids have given us an opportunity to serve and to live our purpose and our passion. So we really value them and thank them for giving us that opportunity. So they are really also equal partners in this life dance. And so in that way, we don't look at them as, victims and stuff like that. We see them as whole, pure, complete, and enough in who they are, and work with them to recognize their purpose and path in this life.
So inspiring. Now I understand what motivates you. The last question I want to ask you, and I'm letting you off the hook, is how we can use our network. So there's now already 70 of us in the NGL family around the world to support each other. What can we do to help you do your work? And what are your thoughts on the cooperation between this network we have and the support of the Institute, of course?
Yeah, I think the network is a very powerful tool for learning from each other and for building each other. Each one of us comes from different kinds of challenges. And so for me, learning from each other and sharing ideas is critical. I didn't know about your country, but when you invited me to do this interview with you, I had to go and research and find, where is this country that is called Montenegro? And I don't even know that I'm pronouncing it right. So you see, that opened up that space for me to learn about another European country. Can support each other in terms of the work that people are doing. Of course, because I run a children's home and I have to take care of the kids, I'm always looking for funds. So if you know of organizations that support programs like ours, you can let me know. If I know of organizations that support the work that you do, I can pass them on to you, so we can support each other that way. And in sharing our stories, like I'm doing right now with you, and then we bring into our spaces a different cultural lens through which to see our world. COVID-19 has taught us a lot of things, but one of the most important things it has taught us is that we are so interconnected as a human family. The divisions that we have are created by human beings. So it is important for us to cultivate that interconnectedness by sharing our successes, our challenges, and our best practices. So that is what I would say about that. We are so interconnected, and we need to keep that interconnectedness alive by sharing what we have successfully done. For me, being in Africa, a so-called developing country and stuff like that, I am starting to be very critical about development, because it's been taught as something that someone has to come and do for you. And in my work now, I am looking at ways that I have transformed the place where I am and looking for ways of creating regenerative sustainability. And that's a story for another day. I have a video that I can send you that talks about regeneration as a model, a holistic model for development and sustainable peace building and development. And it begins with us. And we have to stop looking outside for help and help ourselves recognize that we are the hope that we've been looking for. We are looking for ourselves. You know, we are the ones that we've been looking for, like Alice Walker would say. And for me, until we know who we are, because I said the tragedy of a people is not knowing who you are. When we know who we are, when we see Africa as this amazing place that has got all these resources that are developed in someone else, and decide what we want to do with ourselves, we will transform that story of aid and development, because no one needs help. We have what it takes to transform our spaces. The colonization is in the mind and in the heart. And those are the spaces that we need to set free, to unchain, you know? Yeah.
I completely understand. I can't, of course, put myself in your shoes, but you really gave me a great insight into your perception. Karambu, thank you very much. I couldn't thank you much. I wish you all the luck with all your projects and endeavors. And I hope to see you soon at our biannual McCain Institute gathering, maybe here in Montenegro. I'm trying to talk them into organizing it here, or maybe one day in Kenya. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for the invitation. All the best to you too.
You too.